Well, greetings for color fans, and welcome back to Metarog's comic book channel. Well, pretty much comic books is all I do here, with a sprinkling of other things like memorabilia. But anyway, it is October 2025, and of course, October means that fall is here, the air is getting crisp, and the nights are getting longer. And thus, that is when the ghouls and the beasts come out at night, or in this case, werewolf by night. So I will be doing the complete set of the Werewolf by Night series. Of course, his first three appearances were in Marvel Spotlight 2, 3, and 4, and I showed those in my Mike Plug video last week. You're going to see some Plug here today as well, and I'll probably do a Werewolf by Night crossover. All crossover appearances, Bronze Age, of course, in the near future. So you'll see them there as well. But here we go. I believe the series started in 1972. I hope I'm right about that. I did not do a lot of research for this one. But the titular character is Jack Russell. Just like the Terrier. And this series ran 43 issues and had 4 giant size issues. Really, I think really 5, because the first one is another title, but it really is Werewolf by Night, as you will see in a bit. So, here we'll just keep going. Number 2. So Jack Russell, when he turned 18, learned that he was part of a family from Europe. They changed their name from Rusoff, I do believe. And they were cursed because of, some malfeasance in the past by gypsies or something. So when he turned 18, he inherited the curse. And on the 3 nights of the full moon, he would become a werewolf-like being, as you can see there. So that is a Mike Plug cover. That's where Mike Plug starts. Where did I put it? Over here, yeah. And the creators, I believe, were Roy Thomas and Jerry Conway. And I think Plug had some input as well. There's number 4 and number 5. And as I stated, Mike Plug did the art here for the first year and a half, I guess, or so. And after him, I think there was a couple fill-in artists, but then Don Perlin did the majority of the art from 19 on. There's number 6. And number 7. And, well, so Jack Russell, upon learning about that, that he had this issue, he would try to, do things like barricade himself inside places during the nights of the full moon, things like that. But invariably, something would happen. He wouldn't get there in time, or he'd break out, or something like that would happen. So he almost always had some adventures during those 3 nights of the full moon. There is a pretty good villain, the Tatterdemalion. Not very well known, but I thought he was a pretty well-conceived villain. And there is his sister, which did not inherit the curse, because he did, I guess, because he was the oldest. I think it was something like that. Number 10, and there is number 11. And lucky for us, he always wore those green pants during the nights of the transformation, so we can easily identify him at, like, there are any werewolves running around. Although there is another one coming up here that lived in his building, believe it or not. There is 12 and 13. And I think down there is Topaz. And she was like, not at first, but she was later a love interest. And she also had the power to be able to calm him and have him control the werewolf a little bit, I think. And that's her father there, Taboo, I believe. And 14. Lean that back. And there is 15. Now, part of the history of the curse and all that goes back to Transylvania and Dracula. There is a tie-in there. So they did meet here, and this crossed over into Tomb of Dracula as well. And there we have 16, where he meets this very strong but deformed man here in Hunchback of Notre Dame. It's not the French Notre Dame, though. I think it was somewhere here stateside. And here is 17. He takes on the Behemoth. So he was, his adventures essentially, well, not essentially, went through various phases, right? So, like, there was a committee that wanted to use him. Like, they thought they could use him for their own nefarious purposes. And there was another cult that wanted to sacrifice him, and they thought that would give them power, etc. And then here is that, I told you, that other werewolf that lived in his building, yeah. And they ran afoul of each other for a while, but then they actually teamed up at the end there. And here, that's not Dracula, by the way. Those are actors, and they're not actually on another planet or anything. But it's a cool cover. And that's, I think, where Don Perlin starts, right around here. Here's issue number 20. Let's see if we can make this in 10 minutes. 21, again, that's that other werewolf. And they do find like a cure, but it only would work for one of the werewolves. So I think it was the other guy that got the cure. So I might be wrong about that. It's been a while since I've read these. But I did do a retrospective of this with Comic Mag Musings. I'll link that below in case you really want to know the in-depth stuff of this series, right? There's 23. And I said later on he did have a romantic interest with Topaz. There's the Brute. And number 25, Eclipse of Evil. And let's go to the final half here. Like I said, I ran 43 issues. Oh, by the way, Marv Wolfman, believe it or not, wrote some of the issues right before this. So yeah, I think it's funny, Marv Wolfman on a werewolf. Of course, he was writing Tomb of Dracula at the time as well. That is, I believe, the Hangman. That was one of his recurring villains. Scourge of the Soul Beast. And that's another recurring villain, Dr. Glitter Knight. Very powerful sorcerer. Again, there was a lot of mystical, obviously, because it was a werewolf, kind of villains in here. And sacrifices and things like that. Again, this is when the comic code was relaxed so that they could do this stuff. Before that, they couldn't do things of such, hellish nature. And here's, of course, a couple issues that are pretty famous. The first appearance of Moon Knight. I believe he was hired by the committee to, I think it was it his father, Jack Russell's father? Well, anyway, he ran afoul of Werewolf by Night. But later on, he found out that they were, not doing it for the reasons that he thought. So he did kill the Werewolf by Night, although he did some major damage, you know what I mean? There's 34, again, more demon stuff and all that. And 35, and at some point, he became, he was able to control the werewolf part of him to a greater or lesser degree, depending on the phase of the moon or whatever. And then later on, he could actually transform into the werewolf even without the full moon. This is, by the way, I hear this all the time. This is the third Moon Knight. Moon Knight never appears in here. It was an illusion done by Dr. Glitter Knight. Of course, the form of Moon Knight is there, but the character itself is not. So that's 37. Here we are, 38. 39, Brother Voodoo guest stars. There's 40, Dr. Glitter Knight once again up there. And 41, and then the last two were co-starring Iron Man. And of course, at this point, I think it was, pretty much well known that the title was going to be canceled. 43 is the last one. Nice cover there. So yeah, those are all the regular series, but he did have the giant size issues that were there, I believe, in 1974. Again, this is giant size creatures featuring werewolf, but as you can see, he's there in the avatar there, and it is essentially giant size werewolf. as you can see, the same thing here on Giant Size Werewolf number 2. They just changed the name of the title because it was going to star the werewolf anyway. So there's number 2. Again, Frankenstein crossover. Number 3, where he goes to Transylvania. Again, because there were tie-ins to the Gypsies in Transylvania here. Number 4, guest starring Morbius. And finally, number 5. And that's it. That's the whole run of Werewolf by Night, including the giant size issues. Let me know if you enjoyed this, and if you want to see his crossover appearances in the Bronze Age. There are, I don't know, maybe a dozen or maybe a little few more than that. So it'll be a pretty quick video. So that's it for now. Next week I'll have another ghoulish or beastie series to highlight, or perhaps an artist that was more prevalent in that genre. I have a few ideas about that. All right, everybody. And by the way, I'm pretty close to 2,000 subscribers. I don't yet generally talk about subscribers on my videos, but I do have a lot of comics I want to give away. So if you know of anybody who is perhaps not subscribed to me and might enjoy my content, please let them know. So once we get to 2,000 or close to it, we will be having at least a couple pretty big giveaways. All right, everybody. Be kind to each other. Be blessed. Be back.